Okay, welcome to the revision video onto the Mockingbird. Okay, so this is what we're going to look at. First of all, the context for the novel, setting, sense of time and place. Then the main characters and some of their character traits and relationships. Then what happens in the plot in a bit more detail. And then finally, just a little bit on the main themes of the novel. Okay, first of all, key characters. Atticus, first of all, the lawyer, Scout and Gem's father, Alexandra's brother. He's wise, noble, a strong sense of justice, and he's honest to his children. He really wants to stand up for the minorities in the community, and he's obviously one of those characters that is anti-racist. He would like to change things, the legal system, but he appreciates that it will take time. He's also a very proud father, and he does try to look after his children as best he can. Their mother died when Scout was very young, Gem a little bit older, and Atticus has had to bring them up by himself. Okay, Scout, the narrator, starts off about 6 years old in the novel. She's intelligent, and I think her perspective, given the first person narrator, it gives a kind of innocence and naivety to the story, and it means that the reader has to work things out for themselves. She's a tomboy, and Alexandra doesn't like that. She likes to wear boys' clothes and get a bit muddy and play with Dill and Gem to be part of their gang. She's very intelligent, too intelligent sometimes, especially for Miss Caroline. She's not afraid to stand up for herself. She even gets into a few fights at school. She's inquisitive by nature, especially when it comes to finding out about Boo Radley and more about Calpurnia the cook. And like her father, she does think the best of people, and she does have good intentions. She's also compassionate. She matures as the novel goes on. She's a little bit insensitive at the beginning, particularly with Walter Cunningham, the incident when he comes round for dinner. But she does mature, and she does develop a sense of understanding of other people, especially of Boo and his perspective. And really, it's the journey that we go on through the novel follows Scout's learning journey as she learns about other people and the society in which she lives. Because at the beginning, she doesn't really have a very good understanding of Macon's mindset. And by the end, I think those illusions come crashing down. Okay, Gem, her older brother, he's also very intelligent, very quick thinking, smart, like his father. He does admire his father greatly, and he likes to see himself as brave and heroic, especially in the children's games at the beginning. He matures physically and emotionally, most obviously as the novel goes on. And of course, it starts with the intrigue at the beginning of the novel when we hear about his broken arm. Okay, as Scout recounts the tale, in hindsight, she's looking back and retelling the story of her childhood. Kind of starts at the end with this reference to Gem's broken arm. So that's the intrigue for the reader, motivation to pursue the story. Dill, the Pocket Merlin, their little friend from Meridian, very sensitive boy, enjoys playing kind of quite flamboyant roles in their plays. He's very creative, very talented. Supposedly based on Truman Capote, who was the author's friend. Again, very imaginative, very compassionate man. Real name Charles Baker Harris. He doesn't get on with his new stepfather, and that's why he runs away from Meridian, but does stay with Aunt Rachel in Macomb for the summer, and obviously when he can. So that's how he first meets Scout and Gem at the beginning. It's his first idea. It's his idea to try and entice Boo out of his house. He's the curious, inquisitive thinker, and he's quite bold and does dare Jem and does kind of goad him to get him to follow his advice and to play the part that he wants him to. He's also, as I said, very sensitive and is particularly offended by the way Tom Robinson is cross-examined by Mr. Gilmer. He walks out of the courtroom at the end and gets very upset. So he, again, like the children, obviously anti-racist, and they want justice. They have a strong sense of what's fair and what's not. Calpurnia, the Finch's black cook, she lives in the black community, which is a very tidy and well-kept community compared to the Yules nearby. Her children are grown up. Zebo, who leads the choir at the black church. She's been with the family since Jem's birth, and Atticus is really strong in defending her against Alexander in particular. Scout has quite a tense relationship with her. She calls her a tyrant at the beginning. That's really because she's quite firm in bringing up the children. She's effectively the mother role. Okay, so she does try to keep them on the straight and narrow, and Scout just tries to test the boundaries sometimes, but she does grow to appreciate what Calpurnia offers. She's well educated. She's one of the few black people in the community who can read, and she teaches Scout her first writing skills, copying out from the Bible. And she is a good, reliable, quite caring woman. Okay, she does also stand up against some racist attitudes when she takes the children to her black church first purchase. Mrs. DeBose, she takes on quite a friendly role in the novel. The children are scared of her at the beginning. In part one, particularly towards the end of part one, she's the lady who's always shouting insults, criticising a Scout for being a tomboy, criticising the children's father, Atticus, for defending Tom. So the racist attitudes of the community are really entrenched in her view. Her mindset is bigoted and narrow, but Atticus is still the perfect gentleman to her, of course. She is the best example, or one of the best examples of courage in the novel, along with Atticus and Tom and Boo, because she does overcome her morphine addiction. She suffers greatly to get through that. Bob Yule, okay, the father, the figurehead of the white trash family, the Yules, who live on welfare money. He's a drunk. He also abuses his children. He wastes their money that they get from the government. And he embodies the racist attitudes. He's most violent and full of rage and anger and hate towards the black community. And he does seek to act out that resentment, obviously by hurting Atticus and attacking the children in the end. Boo himself then, so in part one he's the most intriguing character. He's a phantom. The children wish to find out more if they can, and they do it in very childish ways, of course. But he fades out of the novel in the centre as we focus more on the trial, and then of course returns to save them. He was first became a recluse really, because of the way he was treated by his father. He was punished for some schoolboy pranks and effectively, psychologically anyway, imprisoned. Instead of sending him to the industrial school with the other boys who were punished, his father, who was a very devout, extremely strict Christian, wanted to keep him in the house, and as such he stayed there for decades now. So obviously he has a condition. His view of the world is quite warped, but he does develop a strong relationship with the children by watching them running up and down the street and all the things that they get up to. He does of course offer them gifts, one of them being the spelling medal, which would seem to suggest that he's quite intelligent, and the soap figures that he carves, so he's quite creative, quite sensitive. And of course he comes in at the end as the hero to save the children. And that's a huge risk for him, to actually leave the darkness and the comfort of the house. Tom Robinson then, the greatest victim in the novel. He's a black man who lives on the outskirts of town. He worked for Link D's for over 8 years and never had a problem. He befriended Mayella Yule and helped her out with her chores because he felt sorry for her, because she had to look after all the children, the Yules on the lot, which was kept in a real mess, as opposed to Tom Robinson's wife Helen, who look after their area. The flowers, rather like Miss Maudie's, are looked after, well maintained. But he does take pity on Mayella, and that's his undoing, actually having sympathy with the white woman, because then she tries to seduce him, and of course, when Bob Yule arrives and discovers that, the suggestion is that he beats her, and then she turns on Tom Robinson in order to avoid the disgrace of having kissed a black man. So she accuses him of rape, and of course that's the trial that part 2 focuses on. His left arm is crippled. Mayella is hurt on the right side of her face, so obviously he is innocent. It's far more likely that it was Bob Yule that hurt his own daughter. He's also someone that earns our respect. He speaks well at the trial, and sadly, tragically, he's killed towards the end trying to escape. He's had enough of white men's chances and wants to take his own, as Atticus says. Mayella Yule then, the subject of some pity. She's only 19, as I say, she has to look after all the children on the Yule lot, and there are a lot of them. She saved up for a whole year to send the children away so that she could have some time with Tom, and obviously that led to the climax and the allegations. We lose sympathy with her, of course, when she sticks to her story and accuses Tom openly in court, and really does just seem to pour scorn on him, just like her father. Judge Taylor, in charge of the court, quite comical figure, often seems to be kind of nodding off, chewing on his tobacco, chewing on his cigar, but he is very firm and very strict. He's the one that appoints Atticus, so he wants to give Tom a fair chance. He wants at least a lawyer who will give Tom a chance and an opportunity for some form of justice at least. He is very aware of the prejudice that exists in the town. And Alexandra, a figure who is really a villain for Scout when she's very young. She's very strict, very critical of Scout's appearance and her tomboyish ways. And she's very critical of the children in general and of Atticus and the way that he exposes them to the world around them rather than protecting them. And also, she has a strong sense of heredity. She wants to give the children a sense of pride in their name. This is Walter Cunningham, just a minor part. He represents, I guess, the tier above the Yules. He's working class farmers. They lost out in the Depression, but they did work very, very hard, and they're very kind of honest, open people that don't take anything that they can't repay. Walter, of course, is the one that is invited round for tea, for dinner by the children, and he has different ways, and Scout is quite insensitive to them. But they are hard-working people. They're not white trash like the Yules. Hecate, the sheriff, of course, makes some bold decisions. He does decide to protect Boo. He's a figure in the novel, obviously, meant to represent an even hand in the law, but he does say that the law is not perfectly even. I think he does have a strong sense that things have been righted at the end when he says, "Let the dead bury the dead." So Tom Robinson is an unnecessary victim, and Bob Yule's death is something that really should be covered up as a crime, because that deserved to happen.